I hate games. I'm not a real game person. I don't play cards. I'm not a big fan of video games. I don't really I like real games, basketball, football, stuff like that. But I have this friend, loves to play checkers. I can't stand checkers. Love to play checkers. I don't see the point. Loves to play checkers. And this particular game, he was playing against this other guy in the neighborhood. They just sitting there playing checkers, wasting time. And he's just beating this boy to death. Just beating him to death. And it gets to a point in the game where the guy that he was playing against, he has absolutely no chips on the board, no checkers. All he has is a king. All he has, in check you can get a king move. All he has is a king on the board. That's it. And so this game is just going on for time, for hours. And he just has this one king, and he's just moving it back and forth, side to side, up and down. Just this one king. Now, the guy has already took all of his chips, but all he got is just one king. And he's just going left to right, up and down with there's just one king. And finally, I'm not even playing the game, but I just got tired of looking at it. And I said, man, look, the game is over. He says, look, why don't you just give up, get this man your chips, get this man your kings, and we'll call it a day. But he says, look, you need to understand something. He says, as long as I got a king on the board, there's always another move. He said, he may have a lot of chips, but I can make some moves with this king that he can't make. And that's somebody's testimony in this building today. That all your chips may be gone off your board. That you may be out for the count. That you may be broke as a joke. That you may be tore up from the flow up. That you may be sick in your body. That your situation may not be all that you want it to be. But as long as you got the king on your board, you know that you can make some moves with the king that you can't make with some other chips. Is there anybody in here with that kind of testimony? You can testify that as long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. I've been lied on. I've been cheated. I've been talked about. I've been mistreated. I've been buked. I've been scorned. I've been talked about you as you've been born, but long as I got King Jesus. You ought to tell somebody, say, neighbor, all you need is Jesus. No matter what your situation is, all you need is Jesus. No matter what the problem is, all you need is Jesus. Long as you got a king on the board, there's always some hope in the midst of your situation. One last thing, and I'll take my seat. Lazarus says, I made it because there were some concerned people who prayed persistently. I made it because I had a Christ who saw potential in what others thought was pointless. But he says, lastly, I made it because I allowed myself to be a canvas to represent a display for God to parade his power. He says, I was a canvas for God to parade his power. Bible says that after he gets to Mary and Martha's house, and all these people are there, Lazarus has been dead for 4 days, and back then, when somebody would die in Jewish custom, they would hire these professional mourners. Folk who like to go to funerals. Y'all know some people like that. And don't even know the person. They just want to go to the funeral. And they're sitting in the house with Mary and Martha. And they just crying. They just weeping and wailing. Don't even know Lazarus. But just crying. And Mary and Martha are sitting there. And they don't know what they're going to do. And when we get to verse 35 in John chapter 11, Bible says, shortest verse in the Bible says, Jesus wept. And then all the people said, oh man, look how much Jesus loved Lazarus. He's crying because his friend is dead. No, that's not why Jesus was crying. There was no point in Jesus crying over Lazarus dying if he already knew that he was going to get him back up. Jesus wept because he was surrounded by so much unbelief. He wept because he was surrounded by so many people who did not believe in his resurrecting power. And so after Jesus gets through weeping, he said, you know what? Enough of this. Just show me where you laid him. Bible says that once more, deeply moved, that Jesus came to the tomb. And when, this is the important part, when Jesus came to the tomb, verse 42 says, he began to pray a prayer. It says, Lord, I thank you that you hear me. Here's the important part. He says, I know that you always hear me, but I'm not saying this for my benefit. I'm saying this for the benefit of those who are standing around. He says, look, I'm drawing their attention on you so they will be able to clearly see what it is that you are able to do. Can I bless somebody in here? Because sometimes God will use your dead situation. He will deliver you out of your situation, not just for your sake, but for the doubts of other people. Okay, you're not feeling that. That God will bring you out. That God will let you go through some stuff. And he will deliver you in the face of other people. Not for your benefit, but for their benefit. He says, look, just show me where you laid him. And when all these people were standing around, he said, Lazarus, come forth. That's all he said to him. He said, Lazarus, come forth. Now the word Lazarus in its original translation, all it means is the one whom God has helped. So literally what Jesus was saying is, the one whom God has helped, come forth. Okay, you missed your shout cue. You missed it. The one whom God has helped, come forth. In other words, Lazarus, I need you to be on display. I need you to be a living testimony. I don't need you to be a secret service saint. I don't need you to be an undercover Christian. But I need you to be on display and to be a living testimony as to what the power of God can do.